In the dry hills of northern Spain, where olive trees stretched, across the horizon and dusty roads twisted, between quiet villages, Maria Alvarez arrived with nothing but a small suitcase and a stubborn will to survive. She had left behind a life in Seville that had slowly fallen apart, her father's debts, her mother's illness, and the constant whispers of neighbors who pitied her. When she saw the handwritten notice pinned outside a cafe, "Se necesita trabajadora para rancho. Trabajo duro, alojamiento incluido." She didn't hesitate. The ranch was far from anything she knew. Endless fields replaced city streets, and the scent of hay and livestock hung in the air. The place belonged to a man named Alejandro Reyes. People in the nearby village described him in hushed tones. "Quiet," one old man said. "Strange," added another. "Rich once." "Maybe still is," someone whispered. Maria didn't care. Work was work. When she first saw Alejandro, he didn't look like a man of wealth. He wore simple clothes, his boots worn, his hands rough from labor. His dark hair fell slightly over his eyes, and he spoke little, just a nod and a brief, "You'll start at dawn." The work was harder than she imagined. Milking cows before sunrise, cleaning stalls, hauling feed. It left her hands sore and her body exhausted. But Maria didn't complain. Every evening she would sit outside the small wooden cabin given to her, watching the sun dip behind the hills, reminding herself why she came. Alejandro remained distant. He rarely spoke beyond instructions, yet Maria noticed small things. Fresh water always appeared near her cabin. When a storm rolled in, he silently fixed a leak in her roof before she even asked. One evening, as she struggled with a stubborn cow, Alejandro stepped in. Without a word, he calmed the animal with a gentle touch. "You're too tense," he finally said. Maria frowned. "It's not easy." A faint hint of a smile touched his lips. "Nothing here is." That was the longest conversation they had for days. But something about him intrigued her. He wasn't cold, just guarded. Weeks passed, and Maria began to feel a strange sense of belonging. The ranch, though quiet, felt alive in a way the city never had. Still, questions lingered. Why did a man like Alejandro live so simply? Why did villagers whisper about his past? And why did the main house on the hill remain locked, untouched, as if it held secrets no one dared to uncover? Maria didn't know it yet, but her life was about to change in ways she never imagined. The mystery of Alejandro Reyes slowly unraveled the night Maria broke the rules. It had been a long day. The sky turned a deep shade of violet as the wind picked up, carrying the scent of rain. Maria hurried to secure the animals when she noticed something unusual. The lights in the large house on the hill were on. She had never seen that before. Curiosity pulled her closer. The house stood in stark contrast to the rest of the ranch, where the barns were worn and practical. The house was elegant. Old stone walls, wide balconies, and tall windows glowing warmly in the dark. Maria hesitated, then stepped forward. The door was slightly open. Inside, everything changed. Marble floors, expensive furniture, paintings that looked centuries old. It wasn't just wealth, it was history. "This is where you shouldn't be." Alejandro's voice cut through the silence. Maria froze, turning slowly. I saw the lights," she stammered. "I didn't mean to." "You should go back," he said, his tone firm but not angry. But Maria didn't move. "Why do you live like this?" she asked softly. "Out there, like you have nothing. When you have all of this." For a moment Alejandro said nothing. Then he walked past her, his gaze lingering on an old painting. "Because it doesn't matter," he replied. "It does," Maria insisted. "People would give anything for this life." A faint bitterness flickered across his face. "I had that life once. It nearly destroyed me." He finally looked at her, really looked at her. "My family owned vineyards, estates, more than we needed," he continued. "But wealth brings people who don't care about you, only what you have." Maria listened quietly. "I lost everything that mattered trying to protect it," he said. "So I left it behind." Silence filled the room. For the first time, Maria saw not just a quiet rancher, but a man carrying invisible scars. "You're not like them," Alejandro added suddenly. "Like who?" "The people who only see money." Maria crossed her arms. "I came here because I had no choice, not because I wanted riches." "I know," he said. That simple answer surprised her. From that night on, something shifted. Alejandro spoke more. Not much, but enough. They shared quiet meals, small conversations, and moments of understanding that didn't need words. Maria began to see the ranch differently, not as a place of struggle, but as a refuge. And Alejandro no longer felt like a stranger. But neither of them realized how fragile that peace was until the past came, looking for him. The past arrived in the form of black cars and polished shoes. One morning, Maria noticed them parked near the ranch entrance, men in suits, completely out of place among dust and cattle. Alejandro's expression darkened the moment he saw them. "They shouldn't be here," he muttered. "Who are they?" Maria asked. "People I left behind." The men approached with confidence. Alejandro Reyes, one of them said, offering a tight smile. "We've been looking for you." "I'm not interested," Alejandro replied coldly. "This isn't optional," the man continued. "Your family's estate, there are legal matters. You are still the rightful owner." I walked away. "You don't get to walk away from millions." Maria felt the tension rising. Alejandro clenched his jaw. "Watch me." But the men didn't leave. Over the next few days, they lingered, pressuring him, reminding him of everything he had abandoned. Maria saw the conflict in his eyes. "You can't ignore this forever," she told him one evening. "I can," he said, "and I will." "But why?" she pressed. "You could use that money to help people, to rebuild your life." Alejandro shook his head. "That life isn't real." "And this is?" Maria challenged. "Hiding from who you are?" Her words hit harder than she expected. For a long moment, Alejandro said nothing. Then quietly he asked, "Would it change how you see me if I took it back?" Maria stepped closer. "I don't care if you're rich or poor," she said. "I care about who you are here." Something in her voice broke through his walls. Days later, Alejandro made a decision. He met with the men, but on his terms. He agreed to reclaim his estate. Not to return to that world, but to reshape it. To sell parts of it, invest in the land, and support the community he had come to love. And the ranch? He didn't leave it behind. Instead, he transformed it, expanding it, improving it, turning it into something sustainable and thriving. Months passed. The quiet ranch became a place of life and opportunity. And Maria? She stood beside him, not as a worker, but as a partner in everything they built. One evening, as the sun set over the hills, Alejandro looked at her with a rare, genuine smile. "You came here looking for work," he said. Maria laughed softly. "And I found something much more complicated." "Better or worse?" She met his eyes. "Better."